Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Connecting Communities with Brian J. And our very special guest today. None other. You've seen him here before. You're going to see him here again. It's Andrew Duncan. Andrew, how are you?
Doing good, sir. Very good at all.
Good, good. I'm so glad to be able to sit and chat with you. I know we've had some hiccups going on to this. I'm excited to dive into some conversations today. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, which is Apollo Mobile Solutions, Community Pay It Forward, and Health Pure and Simple. We appreciate them for supporting us so we can come live with smiles to you. Speaking of smiles, Andrew, what's going on, buddy? Happy summer, almost fall 2022.
I know it's a weird year. There's been some big changes. So most recently, here with us at Liberty and myself, all the agents at Liberty Mutual actually formed a new company within the company that they put us in. It's called Comparion Insurance Agency, a Liberty Mutual company.
Was that an email that I got from you announcing
Yes,
that?
it was.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
So essentially, on the surface, it's realistically just a name change, a paint job, if you will, on a car. However, what we're doing below the surface there is it allowed us to expand our options, much like other competitors, and acquire the ability to sell other lines of insurance with different companies. So now I'm positioned better.
Wait. Talk to me like I am walking into third grade.
Used to have Liberty and a very small panel. Now we have Liberty and a giant panel of carriers. So now I function way better for my clients. So instead of having just some options, I now have, I believe, over 35 companies and growing. The list will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, which allows me to, for the most part, offer better options. So if I don't like what one company is doing, or I don't like currently a different coverage that's offered by a company, then I can move them between companies if that's better for them, because my objective is the customer, not so much the carrier.
That is pretty awesome. I apologize for the delay, guys. If you guys noticed, for whatever reason, well, I'm sure it was probably my dog. My camera fell, or my lighting fell. So
well, that's fine.
So
my cat just jumped up into my lap. He is totally a lap cat.
We're going to talk about our animals, but I want to dive right back into this real quick. So what I'm hearing is, instead of walking into a Target, you're walking into a mall.
Correct.
Okay. So you just
and now instead of you having to choose a different person for each of those, now it's me. I can literally have a customer that has Progressive Auto, for example, and Liberty Home, or vice versa, and it's still me as their agent. I'm the only person they have to really contact with, and then I work on their behalf.
So we should probably talk, because we've had conversations before where we try to make some things happen and we weren't able to. So maybe that's something we can dive into. Okay.
It allows me to very structurally be great for my customers.
So on a daily basis, you're dealing with, I'm just throwing names out there, and I'm not even going to use real names, chicken and rooster and alligators and horses.
All at the same time.
Right, yeah. So what kind of training? What do you do to stay on top of those pieces? Or do those companies offer you like dashboards, or, put in this information, we're going to give you the best three kind of a thing? Like, are any tools out there as I don't like to say you're an insurance agent, because I think you're much more than that. We'll just say agent or correspondent. Correspondent, there we are. As a correspondent,
there's a lot of information. So not only is there training on the Liberty side of things, because for our own products, how we handle things, etc., but with each of our partners, there is exclusive training on how to run their system, how to see what's going on behind the scenes, to understand just as much as we do about our own products. And what it becomes is, it becomes very integrated, because you now have to have both of those pieces to move forward. And so instead of saying that I represent X company, now it's Comparion Insurance Agency, a Liberty Mutual company, and I am your agent.
Or you're a consultant. Yeah, you have many different services now versus just one. I think that's awesome. Now, are you afraid that in the business that you're in, that the internet is taking stuff away from you?
No.
No? Okay. So people are still searching, they're wanting information, they want that live touch.
In my experience, at least, so you have customers that prefer to do stuff online over the phone, and never actually meet their agent just because they're busy. They need a convenience option. But in Northwest Ohio here, most people are very friendly. They want to know their agent. They want to know who they're dealing business with. It is very much the mentality of like their doctor and their insurance agent years ago. You could walk into Walmart, hey Brian, hey Andrew, how you doing? How's the kids? Not so much of, do I know you? You know, they want to be interactive. And as such, I try to make myself available to my clients to do so, from the way that they prefer to do business to honestly seeing them in Walmart. I stopped yesterday afternoon, literally right in the middle of the way. Hey, I totally have a friend who uses you. Can you get me a quote? Sure can. Name, number, address. I wrote it down. Give me a
Think about
couple of hours and I'll reach out.
think about last year when my buddy Wayne he had bought a new truck and we switched out coverages and we added cars and I think he was spending no more than $75 more, and that's very high. I really want to think it was like 50, but we'll just say 75 for purposes. And he was able to add full coverage onto two other cars from what he was paying currently, which saved him. And I would probably say about 2 months ago, he reached out and he was like, "Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for introducing me to Andrew because he had gotten into a car accident and he needed rentals and overview of his policy." And so I mean, the time, which guys, we forget, time is just as important as money. Okay. We will give our time out until we realize that we are booked until next Saturday and then wonder why we're working till 8, 9 o'clock at night. So make sure that you look at the time as well. So time is very important. And saying that,
I
you give
I
the
remember
time.
that referral. It
Right.
was a
And
it was a
save
great
money.
thing. And I do think it was actually less than, I think we ended up covering the two additional cars. I think it was for like $34, something like that. Total
I was going to say
difference.
30. Listen, I was going to say 35, but in my head, I was like, no one's going to believe that, Brian. He's going to
Um,
go with the number. But no, I
and
think
that
you're
was for
right.
two additional cars. And so
It
he
was.
ended up spending, I think it was 35, 36, something like that, after tax and everything, difference to do the two additional cars and get better coverage, which
Yeah.
when I'm looking at a cost analysis, I want you to have better coverage for a lower price. That's my ultimate goal. But I will accept better coverage for the same price.
Yeah.
In his case, for the first car, we were way under what he
Yeah.
was paying and had better coverage. And we added two additional cars, which he didn't have, which allowed us to be a combo package there for him, much better.
Yeah. And now, mind you, one of those cars that we added was a brand new 2021.
Two,
So you talked
one,
about
two.
full coverage on that. Yeah. I mean, so for only be $35 more for him, time and money, right? Those are the two biggest things at the end of the day that we're really trying to save. And I think you come through full force on both those pieces. So good for you. Now, why insurance? Like, why are you not a doctor, right? Or why are you not a journalist?
Well, to the
Why?
detriment of my mother, who really wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. Um, I I got into insurance originally when I was in the medical field, helping my doctors, and I like helping families. And I think that when you can help a family truly, and insurance is one of those things that becomes a necessary product for you, especially when you start to acquire assets. You want to make sure that you're paying that in case something does happen because you spent all that time, all that money to acquire it. You know, you don't have to have the flashiest car or the nicest looking house, but if it's yours, you're proud of it. And I come up that way earning every bit of what was mine. So I want to make sure that if something does happen to it, I can get it back to you in just as good a condition or better. It's very difficult sometimes to explain to people that insurance is its own mindset.
No, I can respect that. Now, with services, one of the things that I recently saw, and it's important to me at the end of the day, I'm curious on what pet insurance looks like. I only know of it as, hey, I pay a certain amount of money every month. I get to go to the doctor with him get all of his shots, get him neutered, or his teeth fixed, depending upon. We just added a new feature. New feature. I just say feature. We just added a new. And now I don't even know why that's so funny, but feature, which is very entertaining. We added a new dog to our pack, which is Weston. He is a lab pit mix, and he is just silly as can be. He is, best word I can describe is floppy. Like he just flops. He's about a year and a half. Unfortunately, he came to the shelter at about just under a year, and he was there for 5 months. He came straight. No one would take him because he was a puppy, and he is very mouthy, very mouthy. So I've watched this dog, and he's been a celebrity of his own. He's been on the news, Andrew. He did all the events because when you have a dog for 5 months, the group tends to show more affection to that individual. So anyway, long story short, we brought him home, seeing how he would work for about 2 weeks. Rocco picked him. We let them play because it was super important that there was a balance. We were actually looking for a dog for Rocco, and it's crazy on how we got a dog that we even know we needed. So in saying that, he in his 2 weeks was first week, I said, listen, I'm not going to put him in the crate. I'm going to let him have freedom in the house. We'll deal with how we need to deal with it, right? I was taking him out, started potty training him because he was there for 5 months. So he had anything that he might have known at a year, he absolutely lost, right? So in that week, he has encouraged us to start looking for hardwood floors in our house.
Okay.
He ate a hole probably about that big in the carpet in Jackson's room that now a fan sits over.
Okay.
And because in my thought, I thought, you know what, I can get a really big rug. I'll put it over there. We're good, right? Because we're just not ready. There's other things I want to do before I put new carpet back.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then 2 days later, I woke up with him pulling the carpet up and eating all the padding underneath it. So I said, well, it's time to pull the crate out. So we pulled the crate out. He's been the crate ever since. Although this dog, I cannot get him on a routine to number 2. Do you have any suggestions for me, Mr. Dog Whisperer?
In my own experience, when I've had trouble with potty training dogs, most of the time I would use the treat method and the spray bottle.
Yeah, the thing is, and I don't even know if it's a thing. We have Rocco very systematic, right? He poops in the morning, typically. Sometimes he'll wake me up for a 12:30 or 1 o'clock poop, but that's if I feed him some extra crap food because we eat chippies at night or watermelon. But for the most part, he's very systematic, and he's potty trained. He'll come and lay his head on our lap when he wants to go outside. He wakes us up in the middle of the night if he does need to go pee. So he's all good. But Weston, this dude will poop 4 times a day, and we only feed him twice a day. We're very systematic. 4 times a day, anytime. We have no idea when it's going to happen. He'll be playing with us, and he's just pooping as he's running. Like, there's nothing. So I think I'm going to take him in, and just to make sure, like, he feels right. Because I don't know, maybe he doesn't. I mean, it's weird that he will run and poop for me. Like, I've never had a dog that just kind of done that. So
Can't say I've ever seen that.
yeah, no, I've done it. I've seen it with them peeing and running, but that's typically because they're too excited, right?
Correct.
So we're gonna see what that's looking like. So pet insurance. Tell me what that looks like.
So Liberty Mutual has 2 different options, and now with Comparion, we can have both of them in the same spot. So the first one we offer is with Liberty itself, okay? And it's underwritten actually by the same company that we do stuff outside with. There's just a couple of changes in the different coverages. Essentially, it's through Hartville Pet Insurance, which is the AKAC registered pet company.
Yeah, I like
every vet loves it. In fact, you flash that card, you see them kind of gleam in their eye like, oh yeah. Because every pet that
One, they get paid.
period, dot, end of story. They're going to take it. You know what I mean? The different coverage levels are up to you. And basically, I like to explain it like our own health insurance. Basically, you're going to set yourself a copay amount. Okay. So how much do you want Hartville to cover? 70, 80, or 90%? Okay. Then you're going to have your percent. That's your deductible, your copay. So I like the 90-10 personally. That's the one I select. Then you select your coverage limit. How much a year do you want this thing to cover up to? For a younger dog, I'm going to suggest a higher limit because younger dogs, cats, they tend to have more shots, tend to go more to the vet more, checkups, etc. You want to make sure that they don't have fleas. You want digestive system and stuff like that in there. So there's stages. So there's catastrophic, and I'll hold up usually on my flyer because I got this fat cat, and he kind of reminds me of my own Jerry cat. So I call him the Jerry catastrophic plan. That happens to be if they get into an accident or get hurt, this is that plan. And that's usually on the low end. You're talking like $8 to $12, depending on the breed most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, a Great Dane or a Bull Mastiff is going to cost a lot more than, say, a Schnauzer. It's going to happen. And then you have the mid-tier, which I like to call catastrophic and preventative. Okay. So the preventative is teeth cleaning, stuff like that, certificates, etc. Especially if you're going to go across state lines or take them to shows, you're going to need those certificates from your vet. They cost a minute. Right. And then there's the top tier. I just call this Diamond Service Plus. Literally the amount of stuff it covers is redonkulous. It has preset amounts for everything. Like you take them in, it'll tell you how much of the extra services it's going to pay for each of the items per year. It's wonderful. And that one's a little more expensive. That generally runs, I have seen anywhere from about 30-ish to 50-ish bucks. There are a few cases outside of both of those, obviously top tier. But it just depends on the breed.
It's not bad. 30 to 50 bucks a month, guys.
When you went to the vet last time, how much did you pay?
Well, I'm on a plan. I was on a plan with Rocco.
Okay.
And he finishes the one that we're on right now in September. And I pay $90 a month.
Okay. So $90 a month for how long?
A year. I did that for a year. And you have to reinvest every year. So the first year I had Rocco, it covered his neutering, right? All of his vaccines. Doctor visits are already included, and that also is flea, tick, and heartworm pill. And I feel like something else. So there was a lot with that. The plan itself, I want to say, is like $60 through Banfield, which is typically in like a PetSmart.
Correct.
Pet store. So I would probably say, $90 a year, but again, that covers other things as well. So I would, I think, to say in your mind, $50 a month, right, on the high end, to be able to do that same process and have that peace of mind. So $50, and you figure you'll probably pay another $100. That's still not bad to have that peace of mind to go, I don't have to worry about anything, right? I'm covered. And now $90, that doesn't include medicines, right? Nail trimming, so that's all still 100% out of pocket.
So for example, I don't know if I can share this, but I will see if I can.
You should be able to share a screen.
There we go. And share.
Oh, I like the colors.
So this is the fat cat that's on my flyer. He always kind of reminds me of my own cat, Jerry, just sitting there with the remote on the couch, chilling, whatever. Gives you a basic description, but when I mean this is cheap as all can get out. Policies start literally at $1.66 a day. This is a basic.
Yeah.
You can realistically start customizing what you want on that option for yourself, and we can literally tailor it from there on building what's best for you. If you've got multiple animals, there's additional discounts for each additional animal. It's a great service.
Is this something that people would need to talk to you about? Can they go out and like fill out a form and see what it looks like and then have a conversation? What's
Sure,
the best?
actually, they can reach
You
out to me directly if they want to, and we can customize it with it, or they can contact me through either my website, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And they can give me some basic info, and I can give them a real short, hey, you want 20,000, 90% reimbursement for, let's just go with Weston. Poof, there it is. Here's what we're going to look at. We want to customize that further because we want shots and stuff like that. Start, tiering it. Okay, we changed it $1 or $2. We added all this extra in, and that way we can customize just like any other option for each person and each animal, everything that they need, and they're not overpaying.
That's pretty awesome. Now,
I think it's a great thing.
I think you answered that for me. You answered this, but I want to make sure that I clear this for other people as well. Um, this is not a reimbursement. This is not you pay the medical bill and then you go back and you have to file through the insurance. This is the bill was $100. The vet is only charging you 10. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yep. Most of the vets will file it right then and there for you. If you decided that you wanted to file it rather than the vet, you could actually go on to the website, upload your bill from the vet itself, show that you've paid, and they would pay you.
Okay.
So it can go either way if you want to, because I know there's some people that would prefer to make the payments themselves to know that they've guaranteed it. But honestly, most vets will just process it right then and there.
That's amazing. I mean, that takes just the stress off because most places, from what I know or see, then you've got to go back and do the work, right? It's kind of like with a rebate. You want the money, you got to go do the work to get the money. So, well, awesome. Any other new services or new things in the insurance world that we should probably know about?
I will say this for everybody that this year is definitely challenging in a lot of different respects. Reach out to your agent or another agent if you're looking at switching and have the in-depth conversation with them. Don't just assume everything this year. I have always taken the approach that you should be very interactive with your agent. I should talk to you a couple of times a year, not just once in a blue moon. Rates this year, because of the market, have been haywire. Call them, see what's going on. If you're having difficulty with it or you're frustrated with your rate, see what they can do. Don't just assume. Give them some time. In the first, couple of months this year, it was literally from day to day, completely off the scale, different rates. And now that we're seeing some of the market come to a normal fashion, we're able to redistribute that information. There's new products from each company coming out. And your agent is supposed to be working with you on that. And that's what I try. I do manage 5 states. So I always tell my customers, if you don't get a hold of me, leave me a message. I am usually with a customer or in the field, and whoever has my attention at the time, they have my attention until I move on to the next person, because I want everybody to feel treated the exact same. So, I try to make sure that I get through stuff through the end of day. But if for whatever reason, let's just say that you happen to catch me, like this last week, I was out at the Wood County Fair in Bowling Green, and then the Defiance Hot Air Balloon Fest. Obviously, when I'm out there doing different stuff, I can't usually make quick changes. So I tell them, hey, leave me a message about it. I'll get back to you as soon as I can on it. That way, I'm in the field. There's not much I can do right here. If it's an emergency, I do have a staff to help me, if it's got to be right then. But I know a lot of my customers prefer my touch to it rather than the company.
Right. Well, listen, we appreciate your time and energy today. I do want to talk about some things that are going on in the world too and get your opinion on it. Okay.
Sure.
So it's a segment I like to call Hot Topics. Look, that was totally not original. But listen, I do want to talk about a couple quick things. Are you a pop culture kind of guy, Andrew?
I would say so.
Okay. So first off, let's talk about Olivia Newton-John. And I say that laughing because I'm just amazed that she has died. So for me, her, Michael Jackson, Betty White, obviously, died, Princess D, right? Died. I don't know why I said D. Princess Di. It just, all of these people, it just blows my mind. She's definitely one of those pictures in my my childhood. What about you? What did Olivia Newton-John do for you?
So when I was younger, I remember her actually quite a lot on the TV, and at the same time, I guess I'm from that generation that's between the two. I think we're technically Gen Z, I think is what
Right.
we are. I remember seeing Princess Diana's crash on TV. I remember seeing Michael Jackson on the TV in concert doing stuff. I remember seeing, well, I mean, we left California during the big earthquake in 94. That was right there during the main baseball game. There are things that we see in our generation that have been different. And we've also seen how people have adapted. And she's one of those people that put her heart on her sleeve and worked for people without being essentially overcome by the bearing of popularity and money. And I think
Yeah.
that proves that humanity still has a chance.
Well, I feel like a jerk to make this comment that I'm just about to make as you're talking about humanity and greatness. But she was a sex symbol too, right? I mean, during Greece, she was a singer. She started out in country. She ended up going to pop with what's that song? Let's get physical, physical, right? Let me hear your body.
I don't think there was any young teenage boy that did not have romantic thoughts at some point.
What is it? Not Jane Fonda. Farrah Fawcett, right? I remember Farrah Fawcett, Olivia Newton-John, Pamela Anderson. Those were my three in growing up. And then there's, teen idols in between, like Debbie Gibson, right, who goes by Deborah now.
Yep.
Which I find hilarious. I find Johnny Depp is another one of those for me that I just have to go, wow, I grew up with this guy. I started watching him in the 1980s in a little show called 21 Jump Street,
yep.
which was basically 30-year-olds acting like they were teenagers being undercover in high schools.
The first film that I can say that I ever remember watching him on, my grandparents in Kentucky had a little video shop attached to our store. And so we'd rent out videos. Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, yeah. Edward Scissorhands was definitely one of my favorites.
I ran around that entire summer with giant pieces of cardboard attached to my hands.
I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, he's one of those, but he's always been in his acting wise, he's always chosen the roles that are not, they're just
Not
slightly
easy.
different. They're slightly different. You have Edward Scissorhands. You have obviously Pirate of the Caribbean, right?
Right. No one will ever be able to copy Captain Jack like that.
You have the newer Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And there's a plethora of other movies. So I would like him. I thought he was going to be like a Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks started out as a comedian actor, right? Big, The Money Pit. Actually, Big was later. The Money Pit, and then Miscellaneous, and then he did Big, and then he did Philadelphia, right? And then, have you seen Philadelphia?
I have.
Yes. And then right after Philadelphia is when he did Forrest Gump.
Did you know he was just here in Toledo like a couple of weeks ago filming?
I do. I was out. I actually went out looking for him because I just wanted to run into him. I think he's just my favorite. I don't want to say favorite. That's not right. My first impression or my first glance of Tom Hanks was in a little TV show. You find it odd that all of my stars are in TV shows called Bosom Buddies.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah. So what this Bosom Buddies was, and you got to mind this was, 1984, 5, somewhere around there, and it was basically a show about drag, where these two guys, Tom Hanks and his buddy, had moved into an all-woman building, so they had to dress up as women to be able to live there, and that was the premise of the show. And their day jobs is that they were in advertising. when I wrote my book last year, all of my favorite shows always revolve around typically a woman in power running her own business. And it was usually around marketing or advertising, from Who's the Boss, right, where you have Angela, to Growing Pains, where you have Maggie, because she's a journalist, to The Golden Girls. I mean, just a bunch of these shows that they all focus on entrepreneurship and owning your own business. And it's funny when you kind of evaluate and look back and you're going, oh, maybe that's why I'm doing what I am.
Favorite Golden Girl.
You know what? I always say they were all for the same. And the moment you took one away, the impact changed. And I think we all saw that with the Golden Palace, right? Favorite Golden Girl? I really liked Dorothy. I'm
a Blanche fan.
Well, again, I find myself in all of them at little people. Well, I don't see myself as Rose. I don't think I'm ditzy like that. And I wish I was as giving as Rose was. So I maybe I'm jealous that I'm not into that aspect. I used to always say that my former wife and I, she's an amazing person. And when it comes to her soul, nobody can touch it. And she just has this radiant of giving, right? And she's just an amazing person. She doesn't have to do anything to do extra, right? It's just who she is. Me, I have to schedule my good deeds. You know what I mean? Like I have to make a thought to be good. And Rose, like my former wife, it was just a do-gooder, right? A do-gooder. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I went so far as I've even got the pops. They come out with them because I collect them.
I do want to go to their restaurant. I've been seeing reviews of their pop-up restaurant, so I have been seeing that. So another situation that we have in the news, which makes me very sad, is Fred Savage. Do we all remember Fred Savage from the Wonder Years? Well, apparently people are complaining that he wasn't acting appropriate during the revival of the Wonder Years. And here's his response to that, which makes me sad. I'm going to be honest. Since I was 6 years old, I have worked with I've worked on hundreds of sets with thousands of people and have always strived to contribute to an inclusive, safe, and supportive work environment. It is devastating to learn that there are coworkers who feel I have fallen short of these goals. While there are some incidents being reported that are absolutely did not and could not have happened, any one person who feels hurt or offended by my action is one person too many. I will work to address and change any behavior that negatively affected anyone, as nothing in this world is more important to me than being a supportive coworker, friend, father, and person. What does that mean to you?
I mean, to me, it sounds like he knows that no one person's opinion is going to essentially be perfect. Everybody is going to form their own opinions on things. Everybody has their own thoughts. And the fact that somebody felt that his actions were a negative on them, he's taking that feeling from them and feeling it himself and saying, I'm sorry that you felt this way. It's not obviously his intention. No one is perfect, but at the same time, I think that's pretty big of him to say, look, regardless of whether or not we know that it couldn't have happened this way, the fact that you felt this way about it is one step too far for me as a person. He's trying to make sure that he doesn't have any of that ever taken upon him. I mean, it's like, today's society, you walk down the street and somebody's mad at you for wearing a different color or expressing yourself differently. Okay, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Obviously, I did not intend to offend you. You know what I mean? But you do have the right to be that way because you're a person. I'm not going to tell you don't have that right. He's going, you have that right. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I think he's being the better person right there.
I would 100% agree. It was confusing for me in the beginning where he stated that some of these things did not happen. That led me to believe what did happen. Okay.
Sure.
What did happen that he's feeling. And then when he apologized for behavior and working on those that is affected anyone negatively, to me that said, okay, you know what? he could have, and again, I'm going to be super blunt, and I have no idea what happened, so I am just assuming. Maybe what did happen is he had an outburst, and he used some choice words that wasn't very appropriate to use. And that's the behavior that he's going to fix, right? And that's what he's going to work on. Um, that's how I read it. So I feel like, him saying some of those things did not happen. I don't know what the alleged is even being stated at. I guess I should probably dive into that, but I'm not. But no, I think that he is owning and figuring out and still being generally specific as possible, right? We're also in a world that I don't know why we wait so long to complain.
Today's society, on a lot of that, I think it's more about opportunity. I mean, if I'm offended about something or I'm angry about something, I don't have to tell you right then and there. I mean, for example, if there's a bunch of people around, I'm not going to embarrass you. I'm going to wait until you're done with whatever you're talking about or whatnot and see if we can't have a moment to the side and be respectful about it and say, hey, look, I don't disagree with X, Y, and Z, but here are some things that I did disagree with that I felt could have been better, or if they were specifically to me, how I could address them with you. And sometimes I feel respect is missing in a lot of what we see portrayed.
We don't have respect for each other as a community because you know why? Because we can tell you what we think of you right now and then walk out and go get a coffee and it's okay. I mean, even that person that's getting the coffee can scream at the barista because she wasn't fast enough. And it's okay because I live in a world where I can talk like that. Freedom of speech. You know what I mean? We just tell people everything at this point and what we're feeling. And I feel like sometimes we hide behind the you don't understand me routine, right? This is my truth. I'm just being honest. We don't always have to be honest. Like, where did that compassion go? You know, I don't know. We could talk about that subject for hours.
With free speech, I mean, everybody, they do have the right to free speech. It is one of our most fundamental privileges, okay, that we have made sure that the Constitution guarantees. What they tend to forget is that you can say anything you want, but there are consequences sometimes to your actions, and they don't like to live up to those consequences.
That is so true. I mean, that's one of the things that I do with my kiddo. He sorry, you know how it is being a parent. He's walking.
I've got mine.
Right.
He's 1 minute they're great. 1 minute they're aggravating you out of no get out.
I'm lucky. I haven't gotten to the aggravating part because again, I only have one versus three, so totally different vibe. But I've always raised Jackson to be able to make his own choices because I for a couple of reasons. One, he needs to know consequences for those choices. So one of the things that I do or we do in our house here is we speak freely. So if he wants to cuss, he can cuss. Right? We talk if I find like it's getting a little like I teach him, why do you always need to use that word? Like in the beginning when we did it, everything was one word, right? Because he could have that freedom to say it now. He thought it was great and hilarious. But then I had to teach him words have power. So obviously, if he was saying it 8 times a day, and now he's saying it, one time every 8 weeks type thing. So he's learned on the power of words and when and how to use those, but also knowing where to use those. If he's at school, he's not going to tell the teacher, hand me the effing paper, right? He knows those choices on when he can do that because I'm a firm believer. I don't want to raise a 20-year-old that is making choices to satisfy me or his mom. I want the 20-year-old to make choices to say, hey, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to assume in the world that we are in, and this is just me assuming, that he's going to probably drink before he's 21. Probably when he's like 16, right? When he makes that choice, or his friends make that choice, I want him to be able to say, you know what? I can't drive or I don't want to get in the car with them, so I'm going to call dad. He's not going to be mad at me. He's going to be okay that this is the choice I'm making. We'll talk about it. I never want him to make decisions out of fear from me because I'm not living his life.
I think that's a good point. No child should ever fear their parent. Yeah. They should have a healthy respect. And I wouldn't necessarily call it fear, but there should be some thought process that happens in the back of their brain that goes, oops, I know I screwed up. And yeah, this is not going to be great.
Dad's not going to be happy on this, right? Like this isn't a choice that dad would make. I do the same thing with eating with him, right? So I don't want to tell him, no, you can't eat those Doritos, or no, you don't want to do that. I tell him, listen, for example, he wanted some Doritos yesterday for lunch. And I said, totally, you can. I said, but keep in mind that you had a cookie because we did the whole school thing yesterday. You had a cookie this morning, and we're going to the baseball game tonight, so you're probably not going to eat the most healthiest, but you do you, bro. And he went out and he had a cheese stick instead, right? So life is all about choices. So we have to be able to look at those big pictures and say, what's the best choice for me, right? If I'm eating ice cream 3 times already during the day, should I, for my other snack, should I eat more ice cream or should I have an apple, right? And those are the decisions. Now, if he eats another bowl of ice cream, then he just has to understand the consequences of that aspect, right? You're going to gain weight. If you gain weight, you're going to be slower on the field. You're slower on the field. I mean, it just trickles down in that aspect. So I don't know. I never want, I was afraid of my mom, right? Not my dad, but I was afraid of my mom. And it led me, the choices I made were out of fear and out of, what's that word I'm looking for? Rebellion, maybe, right?
Probably. Sounds
Yeah,
about right.
right. So I want to make sure that his decisions are his. I always tell him, listen, you can do whatever you want in this world. Just don't hurt anybody while you do it. You want to be garbage man? Be the best garbage man out there. Be garbage man of the month every single month. I don't care. I just don't want to pay your bills. That's all. I just don't want to pay your bills. Well, listen, Andrew, if I shouldn't even say if, when we see this and we're like, I need to talk to him, what are some ways of reaching out to you? And we're going to put these links up above as well, ladies and gentlemen, but I like to hear them as well. So what's the best ways to reach out to you?
So my office number is 567-455-9104. My cell at any time, 419-212-3461. Feel free to call, text, send me funny messages, GIFs, whatever. I know we do all the time. Email me, andrew.duncan@libertymutual.com, or you can reach me also at the newest email, which is andrew@comparinginsuranceagency.com. Andrew.duncan, comparinginsuranceagency.com.
And again, that will be up above in our links for you to be able to have.
You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can find me at the 419 Insurance Guy. It pulls up my Facebook page or on LinkedIn. Anywhere where you want to call me, I'll happily respond.
Well, listen, we enjoyed having you today. We appreciate learning about pet insurance and about insurance as a whole. So feel free to reach out to Andrew if you have any questions or needs, or just want to kind of hang out and talk to his fat cat.
Jerry will totally sing you the song of his people. He likes to be vocal.
Right. We love Jerry. So listen, we appreciate your time and energy. Be safe, stay happy. Thanks so much. Bye.